Every year, one weekend changes everything for Warframe fans. It reveals new worlds, unexpected story drops, new frames, new weapons, new events, and it raises money for charities that, over the years, has totaled in the millions. Charities like Outward Bound, Able Gamers, Make-A-Wish, the Alzheimer's Society, Sick Kids, and many, many more. So it's not just a convention, it's a place where Tenno from all over the world get to meet clanmates, friends, developers, and of course other Tenno, but also they get to give back to those in need. And this year, it turns 10 years old. So sit back, grab a beer or a coffee as we rewind some of those years. In 2016, Digital Extremes rolled the dice on the idea of a fan convention in Canada for a small-time free-to-play game. But it was a free-to-play game with a very dedicated fan base, off the back of a founders program that helped launch the game. Something that Rebecca mentioned at the time for TennoCon made them very nervous. Would anyone actually show up?
Hey you're invited to TennoCon 2016.
TennoCon is a Warframe exclusive convention right here in London, Ontario, Canada, July 9th at the London Convention Centre. We can't wait to see you all at TennoCon 2016.
See you there!
And against all odds, up on 1,100 players showed up. I was one of them. I got to sign a wall at the time which had a world map on it which showed where everyone would come from. So you could sign it and tag which country you are from. That map is still in the DE studio to this very day, as you can see from this footage that Megan sent me a few days ago.
Okay, don't judge me, but I'm pretty sure Ireland's like all up in here, right? I don't know. I can't tell if I can see you or not. I see what I thought was tack, that might be Tal.
And it is kept as a reminder of how all of this started. But during the first TennoCon, we got our first look at The War Within, a cinematic quest that built on the emotional shock of The Second Dream. And with this, Warframe's tone continued its shift from just a basic sci-fi shooter to a full-blown space epic. We also got a look at Titania's reveal, Necros Prime, the Tigris Prime, and of course, the Galatine Prime. But the big thing to take from all of this was that TennoCon was officially born. But it wasn't until 2017 where the game's popularity would increase substantially. TennoCon 2017 dropped one of the biggest surprises in its 4-year existence, the Plains of Eidolon. Warframe's first open world. At that time, we had still been confined to ship corridors, but now all of that was about to change. No one saw it coming, especially in the convention.
Should I open it?
And it cast a lot of new eyes on Warframe. It had fishing, it had a real town with NPCs, even Konzu going for lunch, lore implications with the Unum Tower, Eidolons at night, which were our first huge bosses, and it kind of blew the roof off of the event because no one, like I said, was expecting this kind of shift in direction. Then at the end of the convention came the shadowy teaser for Excalibur Umbra. The inferior version of Excalibur Prime, right? Except it had a scarf. Yeah, it had a scarf, which made it better. Now, I'm only saying that because I have Excalibur Prime, but they are both equal. Now, back then, they even had a YouTuber panel on stage during the TennoCon event with a young Brozyme, the only creator on that panel left creating videos or content for Warframe. So 2017 started that trend of open worlds, but 2018 continued it. It opened with a music video, however.
This song of sons and daughters mine.
Welcome to Venus.
Who we are, making peace to build a future, strong, united, working till we fall.
Which was the anthem for Fortuna, We All Lived Together. Now, Fortuna, of course, Aurora Vallis, was set on Venus. It was another open world. It was drenched in neon lights and full of rebel cyborgs. It had K-drives, it had modular kit guns, it had robot spiders, it had another massive spider boss. This wasn't just more Warframe, it was Warframe reimagined yet again. But the future wasn't just open, it became orbital. At the end of TennoCon that year, 2018, they unveiled Railjack, a space combat mode where squads would pilot a ship, dogfight in space, and board enemy craft in real time. But we'll get to that in a little over a year. It was a while before we seen anything more about Railjack. TennoCon 2019 delivered Railjack's full reveal, Empyrean. One player would fly a ship, one would man the guns, one would repel enemies boarding the ship, there was the ship intrinsics, there was weapon upgrades for the ship, you could slingshot yourself out of the ship into Archwing form and fight enemies while in Archwing form if you wanted to as well. It all looked absolutely fantastic with the reveal. Now, of course, what we seen during that reveal and what was eventually implemented into the game was kind of polar opposites. Railjack was released in a pretty buggy state, and it was like that for quite a while, which led to a lot of negative feedback and DE owning up to mistakes and eventually turning Railjack into what we have today, which is way better, more fun than what it was on release. But at the end of TennoCon 2019 came the surreal moment. A grayscale desert, a horse, an old operator. Welcome to the first look at the Deviri Paradox, and of course the Zaraman 10-0 in the backdrop, the fabled ship, how we came to be. Something that has been part of Warframe's lore from the very beginning. But that led us up to TennoCon 2020, which went full digital because of the COVID pandemic, and they pretty much crushed it. Heart of Deimos was revealed live, with players watching from a relay in-game, literally teleported into a demo, which would show off some of the enemy types. We got our third open world, crawling with infested horrors, pilotable necromechs, vaults, and of course the helmet system, where you could sacrifice Warframes to mix one of their powers into the Warframe that you wanted to add it to, which was absolutely awesome. Something that, whether you like the helmet system or not, has the potential to make some incredibly powerful and fun builds. Fun being the priority for a lot of us. Now, for years, there had been, I guess, implications of a new war, and leading up to 2021, that was pretty much the payoff. After years of teasing it, DE showed live gameplay from the new war, the new cinematic quest, where you didn't just play as a Warframe, but you could play as a Grineer soldier with Cal.
For the Queens.
You could play as the Corpus Tech, which of course Viso, long live Viso, and of course Teshin as well. So finally, we got to play as other characters, which was something the community had actually been asking for quite a while. Allow us to play as a Grineer, allow us to play as a Corpus, even if it was in a PvP kind of mixed area. But this way, we did at least get to experience momentary life of a Corpus, of a Grineer, and of course of Teshin as well, which gave us some really memorable story moments. But they also announced crossplay and cross-save at that year's TennoCon, which would allow us to eventually, right before, it took a while before it was implemented, but would eventually allow us to play with our friends on other platforms. Now, with TennoCon 2022, it gave us a deeper look at the Deviri Paradox, which of course they revealed the year before. It was a looping black and white roguelite world controlled by the Mad King Dominus Thrax, where you would play as the Drifter and ride a space horse. It would be unlike anything ever added into the game, a world where the main character wasn't, or the main playable character wasn't your Warframe, it was that Drifter. We also got a look, of course, of Warframe's next game, which was Soulframe, a fantasy MMO being led by Steve Sinclair, and basically he would pass the torch on to Rebecca, and that would lead to the new team of Rebecca, Pablo, Megan and so on taking over Warframe, while Steve, Scott and Jeff would shift on to developing Soulframe. Now, over the next 2 years you would see more Soulframe reveals, and it is still in pre-alpha, and even this year 2025 you can expect more big Soulframe reveals, because it's going to have its moment in the spotlight at TennoCon as well. Now, for TennoCon 2023, they were back and bigger than ever. Warframe had officially turned 10 years old, the game, and TennoCon 23 was their first in-person event since COVID. And in the run-up to it, we heard knocking inside Deimos, a moment that I absolutely bloody loved throughout my 10 years of playing the game. It had such fun implications. Was it Albrecht or was it Wally? Was it the Sherry Glass Bell? Something was trying to break through into Deimos. And a few days later, TennoCon would reveal its true implications. Whispers in the Wall, a quest that was a horror-flavoured quest that pitted you against the man in the wall within Albrecht's labs beneath Deimos. complete with a new faction, the Murmur enemies, and implications that we had to go backwards in order to move forwards. We also got to see Lloyd. This led us up to the biggest reveal of TennoCon that year, which was Warframe 99, right at the end. We were going to be time traveling or dimension hopping back to Y2K with a new protagonist, Jetstream Sam, aka Arthur Nightingale, the Proto Excalibur, but we also heard another voice in one of those kind of moments in that cinematic reveal, which sounded like Mag. It was a sound effect. And we put 2 and 2 together and knew that there had to be more characters on the way as well. So it also had a 9 Inch Nails song, Into the Void, which fit fantastically to the reveal. We got the reveal for Dagath, our new Dullahan or Headless Horseman Warframe. Grendel Prime was revealed. The Heirloom collection for Frost and Mag, which of course in the end caused controversy because of the pricing, which was changed. Cross save was confirmed. Mobile Warframe was on the way. And we got another look at more Soulframe gameplay. Now, TennoCon last year, 2024, became more of a festival than anything else. It was a 2-day event. Now, this was my first in-person TennoCon since 2016, which was the very first ever TennoCon, and the difference in production level was absolutely huge. There was a meet and greet and a tent on the Friday night, as well as a VIP event, and I guess a disco as well. Then the main reveals were on the Saturday with Tenno Live. This was the biggest it has ever been, with the whole convention centre. There was over 3,000 people sitting in the audience for that dev stream at the end of Tenno Live, and compare that to the first one where the dev stream was only packed off into one little corner, and then you had like a chill out room with some beanbags. There was like a games area, whereas now, jump forward to 2024, and the entire upstairs of the convention centre was just one big seated area with a stage, with cameras everywhere, proper kind of studio production level, almost like a TV show. And the Tenno Live didn't disappoint. It had so many reveals. Warframe 99, more gameplay of Arthur battling Infested, Scaldra. There was the Atomic Cycle, which is the motorbike. It was complete with more proto frames. There was a boy band themed liches revealed called the Technosite Coda. Then there was the retro messaging system called the Kim system for building relationships with those proto frames. Scytho 9 Quincy, the new proto frame, was also unveiled. We got a roadmap tease for a new quest called the Lotus Eaters, and then Sevagoth Prime was also revealed, while also showing off Caliban's rework and more quality of life improvements on their way to the game. Which brings us up to TennoCon this year, 2025, the 10-year anniversary of the event, and just like past TennoCons, without a doubt is going to be full of big reveals and possible shifts in directions that none of us are expecting. And I know a lot of us are thinking maybe we're on our way to Tau, but it might be somewhere that's a stop off before we ever get to Tau. Or it could be something completely different, like I said, that none of us are expecting. Either way, I'm going to be there live in person, and I genuinely can't wait to be sitting in the audience and see exactly what DE are going to reveal. Now, one of the big things to take away from TennoCon over its 10-year cycle is that it has delivered and changed the tone and the direction of the game quite considerably over the years. It has revealed 3 open worlds, 6 cinematic quests, there's been 60 warframes, 1 space pirate mode, 1 musical, and hundreds of thousands, if not millions, raised for charity over the decade-long, I guess, time span of having TennoCon. But whatever this year's reveals are, enjoy yourself. Make sure and catch it live on Twitch or on YouTube when DE themselves are streaming it. Like I said, I will be at the event, so any of you that are going to it, by all means, please feel free to come over and say hello. I don't bite. Let me know in the comment section below what you think the biggest reveal was at any of the past TennoCons. For me, it's probably Plains of Eidolon, because it was such a monumental shift in direction for the game at that time, and then leading into Fortuna the following year, it put so many eyes on the game and brought in so many new Tenno. But let me know in the comment section below what your favourite reveal was at any of the past TennoCons. If this is your first TennoCon, enjoy, have a great day, have a great week, and as always, thanks for watching.